Picture this. The year is 440 BC. Athens has just reached maybe 300,000 people, including the port of Piraeus. Not the largest city in the world, but arguably the most influential. Pericles is at the height of his power. The Parthenon gleams white on the Acropolis. The Delian League pays tribute. Athens is rich, confident, and inventing democracy. But what was it actually like to spend a single day here? Not as Pericles or Socrates, but as an ordinary citizen navigating the birthplace of Western civilization. Using AI trained on archaeological evidence and historical records, we've reconstructed what 24 hours in Golden Age Athens actually looked like. No philosophy lectures, no just the monuments. We're talking about the real city. The slaves doing all the work, the women locked inside, the democracy that only applied to about 10% of the population. From dawn to midnight, this is what life was actually like in ancient Athens. Let's step back 2,500 years. The sun rises over Mount Hymettus, and Athens is already moving. You're a citizen. That's important. Your father was Athenian. Your mother the daughter of an Athenian. You're male, over 18, and you've completed your military training. That makes you one of maybe 30,000 citizens in a city of 300,000 people. Everyone else, metics, foreigners living here, slaves, maybe 100,000 of them. Women and children who don't count politically at all. Your house is small, tucked into a narrow street in the residential quarter below the Acropolis. The walls are plain mud brick. No windows facing the street, just a wooden door. Everything opens inward to a small courtyard. Inside, it's dim. Your wife and daughters are already up grinding grain for bread. Slaves, if you can afford them, are fetching water from the public fountain. Women don't leave the house much. The gynaikonitis, the women's quarters, is where your wife spends most of her life. Spinning wool, raising children, managing the household. She won't join you today. She won't join you for anything public. You eat a simple breakfast, bread dipped in wine, maybe some figs or olives. Athenians don't eat much in the morning. Outside, the streets are narrow, winding, unpaved. The city wasn't planned like Rome. It just grew organically over centuries. Mud when it rains, dust when it's dry. Garbage tossed into the streets, pigs roaming around eating the waste. This is the birthplace of philosophy, and it smells like a barnyard. By mid-morning, you're heading to the Agora, the heart of Athenian life. This isn't just a marketplace, it's where democracy happens, where philosophy happens, where everything happens. The Agora is a large, open plaza surrounded by stoas, long covered colonnades where people gather to escape the sun. On one side, the painted stoa, its walls covered with murals of Athenian military victories. On another, shops selling everything from pottery to slaves. And in the middle, chaos. Merchants hawking goods, slaves carrying water jars, metics running businesses, citizens arguing about politics. You stop at a stall selling fish from Piraeus, the port 5 miles away. The seller is a metic, a foreigner. He can live here, work here, pay taxes here, but he can't vote, can't own land, can't be a citizen. That's reserved for people like you. Near the Tholos, the circular building where the executive council works, a crowd is gathering. Someone's proposing a new law. In Athens, any citizen can do this. You just need to convince the assembly. A man is speaking, gesturing dramatically. He wants to increase the tribute from the allied cities. Use the money for more temples, more public works. Another citizen challenges him. This will anger the allies. Athens is supposed to be leading a defensive league, not an empire. The argument gets heated. Voices rise, hands wave. This is Athenian democracy in action. Loud, chaotic, direct. No representatives, no elected officials, serving long terms. Just citizens arguing in public, then voting. Of course, it helps that you don't have a job to get back to. Your slaves are working your farm outside the city. Or maybe you live off rent from property. Democracy takes time. Poor citizens who actually have to work for a living. They can't participate as much. Near the edge of the Agora, you spot a small group gathered around an older man. He's not dressed impressively. Simple tunic, bare feet. But people are listening intently as he asks questions. "What is justice?" he asks a young man. The young man gives a confident answer. "But surely," the older man continues, "if that's true, then wouldn't it follow that?" The young man's confidence evaporates as he realizes his answer contradicts itself. This is Socrates. He's here most days questioning people, exposing contradictions, generally annoying everyone. In 30 years, Athens will execute him for it. But right now, philosophy is just another thing happening in the Agora, alongside selling fish and arguing about taxes. By midday, you're heading up the southern slope of the Acropolis to the Theater of Dionysus. Today is part of the city Dionysia, the annual festival honoring Dionysus, god of wine and theater. This isn't optional entertainment. It's civic duty, religious festival, social event. The theater holds about 17,000 people carved into the hillside in semicircular tiers. You find a spot on the stone benches. Up front, special seats for priests and officials. Behind them, citizens. Further back, metics and foreigners. Women and slaves in the very top, if they're allowed at all. The performance begins. Today's play is a tragedy by Sophocles. Maybe Oedipus Rex, maybe Antigone. 3 actors, all men, wearing masks and elaborate costumes. They'll play multiple roles, switching masks to indicate different characters. The chorus enters. 15 men moving in synchronized formation, chanting in unison. The acoustics are incredible. Even from the back row, you can hear every word. Tragedies in Athens aren't just entertainment. They're exploring fundamental questions. What do we owe the gods? What do we owe the city? What happens when those obligations conflict? Oedipus unknowingly killed his father and married his mother. When he discovers the truth, he gouges out his own eyes. The audience sits in stunned silence as the messenger describes the horror. This is catharsis, the purging of emotion through witnessing suffering. But it's also a competition. 3 playwrights have presented their work over the past few days. At the end, citizens will vote on the winner. Art, religion, competition, civic participation, all bundled together. The play ends. The audience sits quietly for a moment, processing what they've witnessed. Then they file out back into the bright Athenian sunlight, blinking and talking. After the intensity of tragedy, you head to the gymnasium. There are several in Athens. The academy where Plato will eventually teach. The Lyceum where Aristotle will teach. The Synosarges for those who aren't fully Athenian. You go to the Palestra, the wrestling school attached to one of the gymnasiums. First, you strip. Greeks exercise naked. The word gymnasium literally means place to be naked. You oil your body, then dust yourself with sand. This helps with grip during wrestling and supposedly keeps you clean. The palestra is an open courtyard surrounded by columns. Young men are wrestling in pairs, their bodies glistening with oil and sweat. Older men watch, offering advice, critiquing technique. This isn't just exercise, it's education. Physical training alongside intellectual training. You wrestle with a younger citizen, teaching him holds and throws. Between rounds, you discuss the play you just saw. The nature of fate. Whether Oedipus was truly guilty if he didn't know what he was doing. Philosophy and athletics happening simultaneously. After wrestling, you scrape the oil and dirt off with a strigil, a curved metal scraper. Then you head to the baths. Cold water only. Warm baths are considered effeminate, something soft Persians do. While you're washing, a conversation starts about politics. Someone mentions that Pericles is spending too much tribute money on the Parthenon. That money was supposed to be for defense against Persia. Someone else argues that the Parthenon brings glory to Athens, shows the world what democracy can build. The argument continues as everyone dresses. This is how ideas spread in Athens. Not through books. Most people can't read anyway, but through conversation. Constant, ongoing conversation. As the sun sets, you head home to prepare for the symposium. This is the highlight of an Athenian citizen's day. An evening drinking party, but so much more than that. Your andron, the men's room, has been prepared. Couches arranged around the walls, low tables set between them. Women from your household won't attend. Respectable women don't go to symposia. But there will be other women here. Hetairai, educated courtesans. The only women in Athens who can participate in intellectual life with men. Your guests arrive, fellow citizens. Maybe a visiting sophist, one of those traveling teachers who claim they can teach virtue for money. Everyone reclines on the couches, leaning on their left arm, leaving the right hand free for eating and drinking. Slaves bring food, nothing too heavy. Bread, cheese, olives, dried fish. Symposia aren't about the food, they're about the wine. But Athenians don't drink wine straight. That's barbaric. Something Scythians do. The symposiarch, the master of the drinking, mixes wine with water in a large crater. 3 parts water to 1 part wine. Maybe 2 parts water if it's going to be a rowdy night. The first cup is poured as a libation to the gods. Then everyone drinks. Someone suggests a topic for discussion. What is the nature of love? A young man speaks passionately about physical love, the attraction between bodies. An older guest argues for a higher form of love, the love between mentor and student, the pursuit of wisdom together. The hetaira challenges them both. What about the love between equals? Why does it always have to be about hierarchy? The conversation ranges widely. Philosophy, politics, poetry. Someone recites verses from Homer, trying to remember the exact lines. Everyone joins in correcting, suggesting alternatives. As the evening continues and more wine flows, entertainment arrives. A flute girl plays music. An acrobat performs tricks. The atmosphere becomes looser, louder. One guest stands up, wobbling slightly, and begins to sing a drinking song. A scholion, praising Athenian freedom. Everyone joins in the chorus. Later, someone proposes a game of katabos. You flick the dregs of your wine at a target, trying to knock it over. Skill, competition, showing off, all lubricated by wine. This is where real Athenian culture happens. Not in the assembly, not in the theater. Here in private homes, reclining on couches, drinking diluted wine, arguing about the nature of reality. As the symposium winds down and guests stumble home through dark streets, let's talk about everyone who wasn't there. Your wife, back in the women's quarters. She's literate, educated in household management and weaving, but she'll never attend a symposium, never participate in assembly, never vote. Her world is the oikos, the household. That's her sphere. The slaves who served the food, mixed the wine, cleaned up after. Maybe they're war captives from Athens' many conflicts. Maybe they were born into slavery. Maybe they're Greeks from other cities who got unlucky. They outnumber citizens. They do most of the actual work, and they have no rights whatsoever. The metics who run many of the businesses, who build the ships, who can't own land or participate in democracy no matter how long they live here. And beyond Athens in the countryside, the farmers who can't afford to spend all day in the Agora or the gymnasium, who struggle to attend assembly because they have crops to tend. Democracy, but only for some. Philosophy, but only for those with leisure. Freedom, but built on slavery. So that was 24 hours in ancient Athens. Not the idealized vision of philosophers in toga discussing eternal truths. The real city. Democratic, but exclusive. Philosophical, but practical. Free, but dependent on slaves. A place where you could watch Sophocles in the morning and argue with Socrates in the afternoon. Where 30,000 citizens governed themselves directly. Something no city had done before. Where women were invisible. Slaves were everywhere. And foreigners could never belong. Athens invented democracy, philosophy, drama, history. But it also invented the contradictions we are still grappling with. Who counts as a citizen? Who gets a voice? What does freedom mean if it depends on someone else's bondage? The Parthenon still stands on the Acropolis, gleaming white marble visible for miles. But the real Athens was messy, complicated, and deeply human, just like the cities we live in today. Thanks for watching Time Warp Cities. Creating these reconstructions takes enormous amounts of research and time, piecing together fragments of the past into a coherent day. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient Athens, hit subscribe for more immersive history and drop a comment. What city should we spend 24 hours in next? As always, we'll see you in the next one.